Hey, so glad you found us. My name is Matt Savage. This is Mission Control, Houston's hockey podcast. More about me, more about the weird name for this show. But let me tell you, if you have been obsessing over every rumor, innuendo, news headline about NHL expansion to Houston, if you got a Google alert set for relocation rumors, if you've been wondering since 2013, dude, where's my team? Then yeah, you found your online community and we should talk about some things. So the first thing I want to talk about, I want to get into the whole idea that I have with this here podcast. But let me tell you what started this idea. And you have probably seen this before. This picture here, if you're just listening, that's fine. You've probably seen this photo as well. And this is a crowd gathered at the Salt Lake City airport when the Phoenix Coyotes were moved to Utah. And you'll notice, yeah, there's kids there, there's youth teams there ready to greet the team. Or later this afternoon, or later that afternoon when this happened, the Delta Center gets filled with fans showing love, really. I mean, there's no way that the former Arizona Coyote players didn't feel love in that building. And the city of Salt Lake just enthusiastic about hockey. And I would love for us to have that feeling. And I'm sure you would too. But I started thinking about this, and I flippantly commented on someone's post online when they posted this photo. I'm like, dude, let's start the booster club now. And that doesn't really make sense, does it? I mean, so let's be honest about what professional sports franchises are. They're toys for billionaires to play with. A booster club doesn't make sense. Okay, fine. But what I mean, let's form the community now. We'll probably draw a crowd, if Tillman brings in a team. And by the way, you'll notice, yes, I'm taking it for granted that we're getting that 33rd NHL franchise. If that doesn't happen, I'll be in the news, but you don't need to worry about that, right? So, okay. Yeah, we'll have a pretty sizable crowd when a team comes in and all that. But do we have Utah numbers? Could we fill the Toyota Center? I don't know, man. So let's talk about what kind of hockey town Houston is. I got the t-shirt that says Houston is a hockey town, and I believe it can be, but maybe not right now. I think Houston needs to develop just like Dallas did. I don't think there were a bunch of hockey fans in Dallas until the North Stars moved. Just like Tampa, just like Miami might be an exception, retirees, but Nashville, was Nashville a hockey town before the NHL came and gave that city its first pro sports franchise? Probably not. Things needed to build up. So at any rate, let's build community now. Now, in the 90s, when the IHL Aeros were here, yeah, I think I was a part of that community, or online community anyway. I mean, I didn't have season tickets. I had a mini plan one year, but there were message boards, back in the day, and we don't do that now. So, all right, you know what? Let's do a podcast. Let's do socials, let's have an online community that's already in place for when the team gets here. If the team doesn't get here, well, then we'll just collectively be sad, right? So my experience with the Houston hockey community is, well, I mean, we got a history, which I want to touch on Houston's hockey history in a later video, but we have a lot of, rec leagues, senior leagues and stuff like that. They do tournaments and do some great things. Hockey Players in Business puts on some stuff, but I mean, there's not really a fans community yet. Not really, because what are you a fan of? I asked, or I told a friend of mine I was going to start a Houston hockey podcast, and he asked me the obvious question. Well, dude, there's not a team. What are you going to talk about? And I disagree. There's plenty to talk about, which I'll get to. But anyway, so I don't play. I played a couple of seasons of beer league, but I came to the sport late. I'm old, I'm fat, I'm out of shape, my knees are busted up, so can't really be a part of, player community. And, I'm a public school teacher. I'm not gonna be able to afford season tickets. So there's a community I'm not gonna be a part of. So yeah, let's do an online community. Let me tell you what I have, what I'm thinking anyway for the channel. I'm thinking short episodes. I'm thinking like 30-minute episodes. And I'm thinking this because people like listening to stuff they like listening to on the way to work. And the average commute time to work is 30 minutes. So that should be the goal, I think. The exception to this being live streams. We'll do live streams when we build up a critical mass. And I'm using the royal we. But you're a part of this now. You decided to click. This is your deal. Live streams that'll go longer. I mean, look, I know Rogan does like 3-hour episodes. I don't think that's really practical. I want something small that isn't overwhelming, that you can mix in with the other stuff you listen to, whether it's your morning drive or your, afternoon, whatever it is you listen to, your other podcasts and stuff that you can, something that you can slip right into everything else, and let's be honest, Houston Sports Radio isn't going to talk hockey, even when the team is here. Not at first, not unless there's success. All right. We are always going to be, take a back seat to football. The Super Bowl just happened. I promise you on sports radio today, they were talking about the Texans. Promise you, even though baseball's in spring training, basketball just had their all-star game, and the NHL just had their 4 seasons, or rather the NHL is in the middle of their 4 seasons, their 4 nations face off. I promise you they talked football. Football is always going to be first, baseball second, but I'm betting you, and we won't know till it happens, if Houston winds up with 3 Stanley Cups, that's one more championship the Astros have, well then, we're going to be second fiddle to football then. Well, anyway, about the podcast here. Yeah, I want to do the occasional live stream, and yeah, I want guests on. Do I want to co-host? Yeah, sure. I want to build up a community where I don't need to be here for every episode, and let everyone talk. Let's all talk hockey together. So, what's there to talk about? As my friend asked me. Well, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, right? I mean, okay, so we just had, I say just, but about a week or 2 ago, we had the NHL officially raise up the salary cap. And conventional wisdom says the next thing up is a collective bargaining agreement. And if you listen to the pundits, they tell you the next thing up is expansion talks. And there's been enough smoke to believe that there is a fire brewing that Houston's going to get that 33rd franchise. That's enough to talk about, right? But beyond that, you know what? I mean, University of Houston has a hockey team. We should be showing them love online. I know they have socials that we retweet them and, but they should get some podcast love too. We got, hold on. I got pictures. Hang on. Let me show you. Not that one. I got, there you go. Hockey Day in Houston is coming up March 15th. They're going to have a banquet for the first ever Houston Hockey Hall of Fame on the 14th. But yeah, if you're watching online, that's a picture of yours truly about a year ago. And I hope I don't butcher his name with Boris Lukovich. And I'm very happy to have editing capability. You're not catching me. Look, I mean, this was the WHA. I wasn't paying attention in the WHA, but this dude couldn't have been nicer. And, my son put on one of his all-star jerseys and he's like, oh, put on a jersey. And I'm like, dude, I'm fat. I'm going to ruin your jersey. I don't want to do that. but he couldn't have been cooler. And that was such a great time with me and the son. Terry Ruskowski, former IHL Aeros coach and WHA player, was there. We had the Stars sent Victor E. Green, their mascot, to put on a little hockey clinic. We had some high school hockey teams there. Chili Dog from the IHL and AHL Aeros were there. A bunch of memorabilia. God, what a great time with community that was. And you're going to tell me there's nothing to talk about? Of course there's stuff to talk about. But I have podcast topics galore that I'll share with you towards the end here. There's plenty to talk about. We're in the middle of Four Nations. Really? There's nothing to talk about? Come on. But anyway, about this podcast, why the name Mission Control? And I started thinking about the team that I'm just assuming is coming. And I don't think they're going to be called the Aeros. Now, they should be. They should be. Picking any other name is demonstrably wrong given our hockey history. But if I'm Tillman, bet you anything, he's looking around that Toyota Center and he wants something that's going to match those red seats. And that's not any incarnation of the Aeros we've ever had. And I'm betting he wants something space themed. Sorry. Like we tend to do in this town. Right? The Rockets, he's going to get the Comets back. It looks like he's next in line for a WNBA franchise too. And someone told me that he's looking to get a lacrosse team too. And I'm like, I don't know if I haven't been able to verify it, but then again, I haven't looked that much. He clearly wants to fill time in that Toyota Center of his. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a space theme. So, okay, that's not Aeros, which sucks, but let's be honest, we're going to learn to live with it, right? So the astronauts do all the actual real work in the space program. But who are the guys that talk about the job the astronauts are doing? There you go. Mission Control, hence the name. Now, if he winds up naming the team something where the name doesn't fit, that's fine. I'll rebrand, whatever. But let's get something started now. There you go. This is Hockey Week across America. And I figure what better time to launch this podcast. The episodes are going to come trickling in for now. I don't anticipate launching in earnest until May. Now, I say that, I don't think I mean it, but we'll see. But I don't want to nag you to like and subscribe, but subscribe now. This will pop up on whatever you're watching or listening on. It's like, oh, cool, hockey talk. Yeah, we'll do that. And maybe I'll have a guest and, eventually a live stream, something you'll dig. But I really don't think the team is going to be named after the Aeros, although they should be. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know who owns the Aeros name. Like Minnesota, the Wild used it for one of their throwback nights. They threw back to the Aeros, and it was a little offensive. It kind of hurt, but it was for the veterans thing. So it's like, okay, yeah, you want to bring back that military theme. I get it. And the kids down here in Houston, they were there for a while, the Junior Wild, but now they're gone back to using the Junior Aeros name. I don't know what Minnesota would charge to use the name. I don't know if Tillman would be willing to pay it. I don't know if the Wild be willing to give up the name. I don't know why they wouldn't. But I'm just like, man, if I'm Tillman, I want something new that's going to reflect him and his wants and his personality. And I also think it would be a huge mistake for him to be the least bit transparent about the naming process. If I remember right, something about Vegas, they wanted to call themselves either the Black Knights because of the owner's military service, and they couldn't get that. So they wanted to call themselves the Knights, but a London hockey franchise is called the Knights, so they couldn't get that. London, Ontario. So Golden Knights. And then we had, of course, the whole fiasco with the Utah, probably the Mammoths, I mean, whatever name they pick at this point, fans are going to go, yeah, I know it's the second pick, right? So I don't think Tillman should be transparent about the naming process. So at any rate, so that anyway, that's why the name. That's why these are the thoughts I have on doing a hockey podcast. Um, just to answer a question that you're probably not asking aloud, what qualifies me to host a hockey podcast? And the answer to that is nothing. I'm just the guy who happens to be doing one right now. I'm sure when a team arrives, there will be others coming. One of the things I've noticed when doing research for this show is other teams have podcasts that are part of national sports networks, which I wasn't aware of. Just in listening, because I follow the Stars, obviously, because if I want to follow any other team, I have to get on a plane to go see a game. So I'll do an annual pilgrimage up to Dallas, which being a Dallas fan feels wrong as a Houstonian. I think you get that. And it is a topic I want to discuss on a future podcast. But anyway, in looking at the Dallas podcast, I noticed that there's, All Sports Network that does other cities, Locked In Network that does all these different cities. So I have no doubt that these things, there's another one that's slipping my mind. Anyway, I have no doubt that these networks are also going to get into Houston when we get a hockey team, but whatever. We'll do an independent one. And hey, hopefully you'll like it. Conventional wisdom says team won't start playing until 2028. So, we got 2.5 years or something to figure out the kinks. I'm just some guy who, sorry about that. I'm just some guy who, cleared out the corner of a bedroom here and hooked up his mic that I wasn't using for anything and said, hey, let's do a podcast on hockey. So hopefully you'll join me for the ride. Myself, I did a few seasons of beer league. I've never been that athletic, nothing worth talking about, but I did it when I was in my 30s, I guess. And, 2-shot knees and getting rapidly out of shape. It didn't quite work out for me, especially considering, I just couldn't wake up the next morning and be a productive citizen. So, I think I would have picked up hockey if I were exposed to it early, but that doesn't happen in Houston. So I'm just a fan. I remember how special the Aeros were, especially in the IHL. I'll talk about the transition from the AHL in a future video about Houston's hockey history. And I am a Homer fan. There are some people that'll follow sports and they know everything about every team, and that's not me. I follow the home team, and right now the home team is Dallas. They're the guys I can get for free nearly every game on the TV. They're the guys that I can drive up to. But having to drive up there, adds a significant cost to that trip to go see a game, and I worked out the math last time I went to a game in Dallas. I'll go to another one here in April, but I'll share that with you on my Dallas episode. But I'm a homer. And, if you were to ask me, hey, can you name a player on the Ducks? I don't think I could do it. Like, maybe I could if I spent enough time. Maybe if you told me a name, I'd go, oh, yeah. But, I'm a homer fan. And if you want to listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube stream on the NHL in general, they're out there. You can absolutely do it. I'm going to recommend Shannon, the hockey guy on YouTube. I love his stuff and the way he breaks it down. But I want to talk obsessively about my team. And I bet you do too, B. And I bet that's how you found this channel. Something made you search for Houston hockey, even though it doesn't exist. So we're probably on the same page here. So I want to stop being a Dallas fan as soon as we get the franchise announcement. I'm not going to burn all my stuff. I'll probably poshmark my Dallas jerseys, but Houston's got better food and prettier women. I mean, if I could be a fan of Houston, then I'm going to do that. I got to tell you, the one state, one team thing Dallas does is like rubbing salt in the wound. And, you know, I do notice that UH isn't included in their college nights, but, maybe I'm oversensitive. I don't know. So, what else do we want to talk about? I'll tell you my podcast ideas, podcast episode ideas, rather. I want to do an episode on why don't we have a team? Because what happens is when I talk about, oh yeah, conventional wisdom says we're going to get that 33rd franchise, some casual will inevitably say to me, yeah, but can Houston do that? I mean, we lost the Aeros. We couldn't support the Aeros. And I'm just, oh my God. I don't want to get into the machinations of losing the Aeros, but I certainly will, So why don't we have a team? I want to go over Houston's hockey history because we'll hear constantly Houston's too hot and humid for hockey. And it's, well, yeah, if you play outdoors, sure. But, technology, we have indoor rinks now. So there we go. And I talked about being a Dallas fan. So I want to talk about being a Dallas fan in Houston. And then lastly, I want to talk about the possibility that we might not get this 33rd or 34th franchise. Or 35th or 36th. Because it looks like we're expanding to 36. So anyway, those are some ideas. And then, of course, things to talk about as topics come up, as the rumor mill starts to grow, as, stories start developing, things we can talk about there. Couple of things here. So I mentioned earlier Hockey Day in Houston on March 15th, right? And that's going to have the Howe brothers are joining us. There is another podcast that operates out of North Texas, and they've got 3 episodes on Hockey Day that are absolutely a good listen, which are, they got an episode on the founders of Hockey Day in Houston. They got an episode with the Howe brothers, and they got an episode with Ron and Charlotte Graham. All of them going to be at Hockey Day in Houston. It's certainly worth listening to. This is the Face Off Spot podcast. You can find them linked from the Hockey Day in Houston website. I found them on Spotify. So there's that. I also want to emphasize this is a Houston hockey podcast. Now, the music that you hear for the outro, because I'm going to edit this because I just realized the intro didn't record right. The logo, the goalie knot, who I love, but that's AI. I would love that to be Houston artist. I would love a Houston artist to do the goalie knot. I would love to promote a Houston band's music. The music I'm using now, I got off some Creative Commons site, which is fine. I like it. It's a good tune, but I'd rather do something with Houston artists. So, and I don't mean for the exposure either. I know that's a scam. I'll pay you for it. But anywho, I would like to see that happen. So if you want to be a part of things, hit me up, MC Hockey Podcast, and that works. And finally, teach your friends what those blue lines are for. All right, let's do the outro, shall we?